All right, Honda VTX 1300, what I call an entry level cruiser. Some people may call an 800 or whatever, but they're all. I think this one's like what people get before they end up getting a Harley, like the 1300 or my 1500. That's like their last metric bike before they move to Harleys. Anyway, this thing's been sitting like 7 years. Um, Dropped it off. I don't know nothing about it, so first thing I'm doing is looking in the tank. I see rust. It smells horrible. Not sure yet, what I'm facing, but my first step is to find out if the engine's good. If the engine's no good, we can park this thing out. Let's see what we have here. We got motor oil. Whew, that smells like gas. And it's over full. So smells like gas, over full. So that tells me that possibly they did a lot of cranking and this thing wasn't firing up and starting. Crank, 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 no start. So they're just pumping gas into the cylinders and it's going into the crankcase. So before I do anything on this, I'm going to drain all of this gas contaminated oil. Get me a battery. I want to pull the spark plugs in case just by chance there's liquid in the cylinders. I don't want it to try to fire up, like if I put an IV bottle to it and fire it up and bend a rod or bust a piston. So let me get this oil drained and I'll get back. As you can see how thin this oil is, it has a lot of gas in it. So they must have been cranking and cranking and cranking and just. So we're going to have probably stripped down cylinder walls. The oil rings could be eaten up already. The glue that holds the clutch fibers to the metal plates could already be dissolved because I'm pretty sure they're gas soluble. There's so many things that could be bad here, but what I'm concerned is the cylinder walls with all that gas just being stripped. I know they've lost their glaze, probably no compression. I'm gonna pull the plugs, put some oil in the cylinders, try to get the compression to come back up. Hope that the oil rings didn't get eat up, and hope that I know the clutch basket's soaking in oil. Gonna go for our second round of filling up this drain pan. There was more gas in this crankcase than I originally suspected. I'm gonna flush it out a little bit. Just some fresh oil. This engine pans out, it's gonna get a fresh oil change to get it running, and then after I do finish all my work, it'll get another oil change before it leaves, just because of all of the gas that's trapped in places like the clutch basket and all that. I'm gonna just leave that draining for a little while. Leave that loose. I'm going to get this off, also see the condition of the air filter, and also give me access for a way to feed fuel to the intake manifold. If we get lucky enough to get to that point of feeding fuel. Whew. Gas soaked, flooded, rich, all of the above. Ooh, not as bad. This intake runner must be lower than this intake runner. It is lower. So, I don't know if you can see in there, but the intake runner for the back cylinder is right here, and for the front cylinder it's lower. So that's why this one is so flooded out, and this one isn't, because when the needle seat was letting the carburetor just flood gas into the intake, gravity was just taking it to this front cylinder. Let's get a battery in this. Have to rob one of my homemade jumper boxes. Okay, I wouldn't recommend anybody else doing it the way I do it. This is my method of madness when I'm going to oil down an old dry cylinder. And I like using this, any oil that has high zinc in it. Just like more like break-in oil for old automotive engines. But I don't want to put a lot of oil, so I'm going to put a little bit on each side to try to get it kind of evenly. No, I'm not drinking motor oil through a straw. I'm just drawing a little out. So what happens is when the carburetor starts flooding and the engine can't fire up, people keep cranking, it keeps flooding. It's mainly washing down this front cylinder because the way the intake is configured, this one's lower than this one, and the carb's in the middle. So as it's flooding through the throat of the carburetor, it's just gravity flowing into this one. So it strips the cylinder wall down of its glaze. The oil ring can't seal, compression rings can't seal. I've had engines come in that sound like they have zero compression, and a little oil brings the compression right back most of the time. Alright, I filled it up with fresh oil. I oiled the cylinders, and I'm going to get my, call this my wife. It's my third hand. I never recommend cleaning plugs, but in this situation, I don't have any, and I'm trying to get this thing diagnosed just to determine if he's got a good engine or a bad engine or not. So, safety third. Just a reminder that the flooded plug was in the front. The one that wasn't so flooded was in the back. But I'm going to clean them and swap them because I just want to try to get the this one to clean up more. I always tell people when using these wire wheels, even though you have safety glasses on, still squint as much as you can, because I've seen stuff come around behind the glasses and get people. I mean, I felt trash get me, but nothing bad ever happened. But yeah, squint even though you got glasses on. So I cleaned these up and put some anti-seize on them. I switched the richer one to the leaner one. I switched them just in case I get this engine running. I'm going to put this side in, that way I can feel over there if I'm building compression. Oh, just before I get my hopes up, let's do a little test here. I'm gonna get my hopes up and start throwing fucking fuel in this thing. Yeah. Hey, just in case it fires up. Red, hey. Hey, buddy. Hey. Hey. Come on. I need you to get over here. You're gonna come on. I don't want you breathing those fumes. Come on, Red. Come over here. Look here. Look here. There you go. Come on. Here you go. Well, I think I already know this carburetor is not going to work and it's going to need to be rebuilt. So far, we see it runs, but I want to see it run a little bit longer, and I'm just hoping that if I put a little fuel in here, maybe I can get it to run a little bit longer than spraying it through the throat of the carb. And I expect this thing to start dripping fuel through the carburetor right away. But let's see. Got compression back, some fresh oil in it, an IV bottle. See, got it bungeed here. Looks safe as hell. Alright, I'm going to drain this oil again while it's nice and hot. Try to get the rest of this gas out of there.